Hi, this is Kibo, and this is a tutorial on how bouncy blocks work. Bloxels used to make these types of workshop videos for new things added to the game, and they haven't done this in a while, so I thought it would be cool to kind of bring it back and do it to some of the new additions to the editor that have been added since. So, bouncy blocks were able to be made before they were added as an actual update. If you place down a purple block and then go to the triggers tab and then add a door on it, it cannot move anymore like an enemy would, but you can still bounce on it like you would for an enemy. And this worked for a while, but it doesn't launch you that high at all. So normal bouncy blocks work a lot different than this, so I will go over them. To get bouncy blocks, you need to place down an orange block and then configure it. And it's the third option. And there's a couple of settings here, but the main one is the slider for the intensity, and that changes how high it will launch you, with this first one being the weakest and the last one being the strongest. And there's a little Milo on the side too that shows you how high you will bounce, but that's not an accurate measure really of how high it will bounce you. The second setting here is bounce all objects, which if you have it checked on, it'll bounce any type of physics object that comes into contact with the block. If you have it checked off, only your hero will be able to bounce off it. So this includes a lot of things. It includes enemies, it includes boxes, it includes player projectiles, and enemy projectiles as well. Now, there's 5 different intensities, like I said, and if you're using different levels of intensity for your bouncy blocks in your game, it's a good idea to decorate them differently, because it's really annoying if you're in a situation like this where they all look the same and the player expects them to all launch you the same, but then one all of a sudden launches you super high, and they would have no indicator as to this one sending you so high, and that might end up killing them, and that can be very annoying. So even if it's not anything that looks super special, it's just a good idea in general to make your bouncy blocks look different from each other. For this little demo game, I made the mushrooms and I color coded them. So teal is the weakest and red is the strongest. A really easy way to do this is to just put arrows on them, and the stronger the block, the bigger the arrow is. That's an immediate indicator as to what they will do. Now, like I said, there's 5 different levels. The first one bounces you a block up, not that high. Second one is a few blocks up. The third one is about a screen up, which is 13 blocks, the size of a Bloxels board. The fourth one sends you a lot higher at a few screens up. And the last one sends you half the map up. So, very differing heights there. A big elephant in the room that I'm leaving out right now, and it's a big caveat about bouncy blocks. They're orange blocks, so you can still pick them up like you would a normal orange block. When I bounce on this, you can notice a little indicator, and if I time it right, I can still pick it up, and I can bring this bouncy block wherever I want to in this game. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can cause the player to cheese big parts of your game, because they can get super high up and just jump over it. For example, this is a lock, and I normally need a key to get over here. The key is over here, and I have to do this challenge to get it. But, you know, this looks pretty hard, so I can be clever, and instead, if I time it carefully, I can grab this bouncy block, and then just bring it over here and jump over there. The obvious solution to this seems like it would just be put a ceiling here or make the wall higher, but that doesn't change the fact that your player can still pick up the bouncy block. So, really simple way to fix this, which we did this earlier with the enemy. You just get a door and you put it on the bouncy block. And this makes it where you cannot pick it up anymore, but it still acts like a bouncy block, which is obviously what you want. Really good idea with doing door tricks like this is I usually set them to door code D, because I reserve that door code for anything I do not want the player to unlock, because you don't want to put a separate key in this game that has the code D and they end up unlocking this block, because you don't want them unlocking this. That's the purpose of this door. So any tricks like that I reserve for the last key code. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but I just do that one because it's the one at the end and it's easy to remember. Now, something I like doing a lot with bouncy blocks is mixing the old ones in with the new ones. So let me grab a purple block, and I've made another asset for purple block. Then I put a door on it to keep it in place. Door code D, like I said. And since the enemy only launches you block up, not even, it's like a weaker version of the weakest bouncy block. And it doesn't launch you off the sides either. So, and that's another thing I haven't mentioned about bouncy blocks yet, is that not only do they launch you from the top, they launch you from the bottom and the sides. There's a lot of cool little techie things that you can do with that, but something I like doing a lot, this is my favorite use case of this, is getting a bouncy block that's max intensity and then putting it in the air and having your player bounce off it in the air. And that launches them super far. And depending on which direction they hold, they can go even farther or they can go shorter. And you can do something like adding a hazard here, like spikes, and they have to use this to get past the spikes. And yeah, there's a lot of cool little Kaizo type levels that you can make with that, but that's a bit more advanced, and it would be cool to do some type of tech episode for bouncy blocks, but I think that's like the basics pretty much. I will put this demo game in the description. I will upload it to the arcade if you guys want to check it out at all. And I think that's it. If anyone has any ideas for future one of these videos, let us know. I would love to do more of these.